How pathetic can some people be?
I see a lot of interesting people travel around. Saw a grown man once with a tattoo of a dragon on his face. I don't know what he did. I was guessing probably like a CEO or lawyer or professor of some kind. Really? Your face? You're going to put a tattoo on your face. And dragon. That's what you want to highlight? That's your first impression on everyone you meet the rest of your life, dragon face. I seriously doubt that guy's waking up every morning, looking in the mirror and going, ha! Awesome! Yes! Carpe diem. That guy made me think, though, like, what if I had to get a tattoo on my face? What would I get? Like one of those weird hypothetical, like, what if somebody made me? What would I pick? Like if a madman held me down in an alley and he was like, I want to put a tattoo on your face, but I'm going to let you pick it out. You're crazy, but you're fair. All right. I'll play your game. I get the best one ever. I get a tattoo of my face. Same size as my face, but slightly to the left. And I'd wait outside a 3D movie theater and ruin people's lives.
Dumbass of the day. 93.3 KZOC.
Oh, this is a Mother of the Year. Although, when I break it down, I don't know. Here's the details. There was this mom in Oregon who was accused of leaving her 2 young children alone at the park so she could go to a tattoo parlor and get some ink work done. Her name's Annalisa Lara. She's 28. She was arrested on Saturday after another family at the park saw her 2 children, ages 3 and 8, unattended inside a park's public restroom as they were hiding out from the rain. There was a rainstorm moving through, and they were using the bathroom as a shelter. Another couple saw them, and they figured that the kids had been left alone at the park for about an hour. She returned to the park about 30 minutes after the family that found the kids had called the police. She was later charged with first-degree criminal mistreatment, reckless endangering another person, and second-degree child neglect. Her children were sent away to stay with another relative. Now, this is neglect, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 8 and 3. I mean, you know, it's like, depending where you live. You said this happened in Oregon?
Oregon, yes.
Portland, or?
It was in Cornelius, which I believe is a suburb of Oregon. Let me look into that while you
But anyways, it's
pontificate.
just, you know, it's just, it depends where you live, I guess. But at the same token, you just got to think, all right, if these were your kids, would you leave your 8-year-old to take care of your 3-year-old? And I mean, we all watch the news. We see Dateline. I mean, this is not the day and age that you just leave kids. They can't, fend off, weirdos and abductors. And it's just like, why would you do this just to get a tattoo? And what, the kids can't come in the tattoo parlor?
She didn't want to bother him. Don't bother me while I'm getting my ink done.
Exactly, because they're kids and they don't want to sit around for an hour or two.
Go play in that park over there. I gotta get a tattoo.
Get your ink done. I say I think everybody would reschedule the tattoo or find somebody to watch the kids.
Yeah, it is a suburb of Portland. It's on the west side, extreme west side of just out by Hillsboro. Anyways. Yeah, I know, but
maybe it was a quick tattoo.
But it wasn't, because the kids were alone for 90 minutes in the park, seeking out shelter from a rainstorm.
At least they're not dumb kids.
In the bathroom. Now, the rainstorm never moves through. Does his mother get in trouble? Maybe not.
Well, maybe not. Maybe the kids, or maybe some other families like noticing kids playing by themselves. I mean, yeah, but it's not something you should do.
Kids play by themselves.
Not something you should do.
What about an 8-year-old though? I mean, listen, at 8 years old, I was left to my own devices. I would go a couple blocks over to play with my friends on the street where cars drove. I would play on the street when cars were driving.
I just had to be home by dark when I was 8.
But
I lived out in the country. I mean,
yeah, but this is very suburban Portland. Okay, this is on the outskirts of Portland. Okay, this is not inner city Portland. Not that it makes a difference, really, to that matter. I'm just saying that, well, she's going to end up being our dumbass of the day, okay?
Right.
When you were 8, how far away and for how long were you allowed to venture?
Well, when I was 8, it was 1983. And I would venture within, the next 2 neighborhoods around me, and we would be playing in the woods, building tree forts. And
I mean, I remember
like
8 years
laser
old.
tag.
We were running into my friend's older brother's porn stash into the
At 8?
in the woods. Yeah,
Gosh, we didn't get into that until like 12 or 13.
Such a sicko. He had like a box of porn hidden in the woods, but he was like a teenager, so it was like whatever. Which is, at the time, we were like, whoa, nudie magazines. But now, in hindsight, we're like, that's the grossest
My buddy
thing.
Jimmy Fairbanks.
That's the grossest thing I've ever seen.
His older brother, Brian, I think was 5 years older. He used to take some of his porn magazines and put them in plastic bags and then bury them out in the woods behind his house.
Like a dog.
Yeah. And then we'd go dig them up and look at them. And I'm like,
and at the time, you were like, oh, cool, nudie magazines. But in hindsight, you're like, that is one sick F.
But now when I look back at it, I'm like, the next time we went out there, I'm like, oh, the same one? You got to put this one back and get a new one, man.
So
it's ridiculous.
I guess maybe it's a good thing that kids are being looked after by caring citizens.
Yeah, thank God people stepped up and did the right thing, because it could have ended very badly for her, and she could have lost her kids.
Boy, she'll always remember that tattoo. What happened when she got that tattoo, right?
That's the kind of stuff my dad would have let me and my brother do all the time. We were 4 years apart, so I would have been 8, he would have been 4. And, he used to leave us in the car all the time.
Yeah.
You see a kid in a car nowadays?
I know.
Your window's getting busted out. You can't leave kids in the car
For
nowadays.
like 10 minutes. If you leave a kid
I used to be in the car for an hour.
They're breaking your window out. And you're
You leave
like,
us in there for an
and you're
hour.
paying for it, and you're going to jail as well. We're asking you the question at 8 years old, how long were you allowed to stray away from home? I remember literally on Saturdays and Sundays as a child and during the summertime, we had one neighbor, Jason. Jason's dad had a very loud voice, okay? And about the time that the sun started going down, or was down for a little bit at 8 years old, Jason's dad, you would hear him bellow out, Jason! And it was a call for the rest of the neighborhood kids. They were like, oh, Jason's going home. We better go home, too.
It's like last night when Minnesota scored. You hear that horn.
But literally, we would leave after breakfast on Saturday morning. 9:30,
Yeah, you're gone for the day.
And we would play all day. It was part of the master plan of our parents, because we would tire ourselves out, maybe come home for some lunch, maybe not, who knows, depending on the day and the entertainment that was out there. But gone 4 hours, like 5, 6, 7 hours. And I know people say, well, it's a different time. And listen, I grew up in very suburbs, like rural / suburbs at the time. Now it's just full on suburbs. But still, I mean, it was not a populous area. But there was still neighborhoods there. There was still, probably shady characters that nobody knew about. But we just were left at our own devices at 8 years of age. These kids go to the park. Now, there's a 3-year-old. Now, if it's just the 8-year-old taking shelter, now put yourself in the shoes of the parents that stumbled across this 8-year-old taking shelter with his 3-year-old brother in the bathroom at the park. If it's just the 8-year-old, take the 3-year-old out of the mix. Do you call the police or the Child Protective Services like these this couple?
If I see a kid kind of all wet and shaken and cold in the bathroom,
well, I don't know.
Where's your parents?
He was dry because he was taking shelter in the bathroom.
But I mean, if he's going to the bathroom, I'm not talking to him. But if he's sitting there in the corner, waiting, and why are you in here? What's going on? You ask questions, and then well, my mom is left us. I don't know where she's at. She's getting a tattoo, or she said she'll be back in a little while.
See, if that happened
then
to me,
I'm at least hanging out with the kid to make sure nothing happens.
I was taught at 8 years of age not to talk to strangers. So if somebody would have came up to me and asked me anything, I would have said, leave me alone, you're a stranger. 8 years of age. Stranger danger. Quit talking to me. My mom's at the tattoo shop. I'm going to go get her. She can kick your ass.
Hi, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love your show, but please don't talk or yell like Jason's father again, because I hate Jason, and that's it.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
All right. Some serious hang-ups.
Take your medication, dude.
About Jason. The question we're asking is, at 8 years old, how long were you allowed to stray away from home? You says, I was able to run around the neighborhood until just before the sun went down. And I walked to school by myself. Those were the days. Yeah, I can imagine a second grader walking to school by themselves right now without somebody freaking out. Be like, what is that kid doing by themselves?
You're not without an older kid with them.
If I see a kid probably under the age of 12 by themselves, I start to panic. I'm like, where's that kid's parents? Why is that kid walking around by themselves? Are they lost? What's going on?
Especially downtown, because you've got all these people, vagrants and things that are on drugs, and people
they've
that
been known
have
to
issues.
hit children in the face before.
Yeah,
so it's like there's reason for alarm.
It's so funny. Where I grew up in the country, we never had to deal with any of that, because there was no gas. There was a gas station 10 miles away, and it was like we had the school, we had neighborhoods, and that was about it. It was 30 minutes to go to a grocery store. Dave's on the line. Go ahead, man.
Back in the day, we'd go for miles and miles away with our BB guns on our Stingray bicycles away from home at that age.
Where did you grow up?
Where did you grow up? A BB gun, Santa Maria, and we'd go all the way to the riverbed and shoot at things.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Santa Maria's all that. I mean, I guess at the time it probably was a lot less in population, but it's not like Santa Maria.
23,000.
Oh well, okay. Still, I mean, today, could you imagine? There's no way that you're a kid going to the riverbed with a BB gun in Santa Maria of all places.
Yeah, I mean, no matter where you live, you can't. If you're going to have a kid with a BB gun, or you got to be there with them. You got to supervise them. You can't let kids run off and play anymore. I can't imagine. What are you going to do, Jeff, when your daughter is, I don't know, in 5 years, and she's,
we lock her in
9 years old, and
we lock her in the house.
she wants to go and play in the neighborhood with friends? It's so tough to do that
You're
nowadays.
locked in the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even take my daughter to the park with me in attendance on Sunday. I mean, we went to Mitchell Park, and she was playing she likes the play structure at Mitchell Park. That's her favorite play structure. So that's the one she wants to go to. I always say, what park do you want to go to? She says Mitchell Park. I say, okay. We drive down the street. We go to Mitchell Park. And we're at Mitchell Park for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And then this woman is in the bathroom screaming C-word, MFer.
A lot of obscenities.
A ton of obscenities. I'm like, what is going on in that bathroom?
Isn't that kind of known as where all the homeless people hang out?
Yes. Remember there was a stabbing a couple weeks ago?
How do you explain that to a 4-year-old?
Exactly.
Well, we can't go there, honey, because this is where all the homeless people are.
So then I'm like, well, whatever. We're pretty thick-skinned. We live in the city. It's sad when you live in San Luis Obispo, you have to be like, I can handle this. I can go ahead and deal with this. And then this woman comes walking out, screaming at another woman that's in the park and a guy, you MFers, you poured that stuff on me. Now I'm burning. She's wearing nothing but a fleece jacket covering her front. She's got nothing on her back. So it's like she's just holding a fleece jacket over her. She's topless, essentially. Just holding a fleece jacket over the front of her, and she's screaming at these people for throwing something on her.
What are you thinking at this time? Outside to get your daughter out of here.
I'm like, I better be on guard because of what could happen.
Are you thinking where's the cop right now? Where's some sort of police officer?
Yes, as there's probably about 30 people that are just sleeping in the park and doing whatever they want to do in the park. I'm like, why is there not something patrolling this park? Is this taxpayer dollars that go towards the park?
It's a community park.
It's a community park with infrastructure for youth and citizens to use, but nobody goes and keep in mind, my daughter was the only kid there. Now I know why, because of this. And I go up to my daughter, I'm like, listen, sorry, we have to leave. And she's like, why? I'm having a good time. And I'm like, because there's some really questionable people here, there's some unsafe people here, and we need to get out of here. I'll take you to another park. We'll go to another park, and you can play at another place. So we have to go get in the car and drive to another park. I'm just thinking, man, the mayor's got to get the flower out of her hair and get off Instagram and do something about fixing the parks, because it's like the downtown corridor parks are terrible. The one by my house, there's always booze bottles. And
I just think it's funny how they
drug deals going on, and it's right behind the Parks and Recs.
They have no problem giving a drunken public to a college kid downtown who's obviously being a little bit loud or stumbling, but yet I feel like there's so much going on in these parks that they could probably have somebody there 24/7 and just be cleaning it up and helping the situation, and it doesn't happen.
Here's the deal, though.
But I realize there's probably a lot that I don't know that goes into it. But
this is what, from what I can grasp of the situation, this is what goes into it. That what I can understand is college kids have money. So if a college kid is peeing in an alleyway, then you could go arrest that college kid and you could get money from that college kid. But if a woman is screaming obscenities at another person in a park while walking around topless, chances are she does not have money. So if you arrest her for anything, what are you you're gonna charge her? But what, you can't get blood from a stone. So you just go ahead and let the people that are I don't know, doing drugs, whatever they're doing in the park, to act like this, pouring acid on each other or whatever it is. You let them at their own devices because they don't have any money. They're not low-hanging fruit.
No, I know.
The college kids are the low-hanging fruit. They're easy to arrest. You arrest a college kid. College kid's like, man, I got my whole future in front of me. I don't want to ruin that. Here's the money for the fine. Sorry for peeing in the alleyway. I won't do it again.
It's such an issue, and I know that people know it's an issue, but I feel like there just needs to be more done.
Oh, but if it's ignored. If it's ignored, it's not.
We have a big homeless population over here, and we're over by the Marigold Shopping Center on Broad Street. And I came back from getting something to drink around 10:30 after the show the other day, and there's a homeless guy pushing his shopping cart. He had stopped on the side of Industrial Way, and he was just pulled it out right there and was just peeing on a tree right 10:30 in the morning. It was right there for everybody to see.
But that's a college kid next weekend.
Brian, go ahead, man. What do you want to say?
Hey, Jeff nailed it. The homeless people, they don't generate any revenue.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And it's funny. I called the police because I didn't want a situation to escalate because I know that there was a stabbing there
what'd they say?
A few weeks ago. She just kind of huffed and she says, "Okay, we'll get somebody out there to look at it." And I gave her the details. Told her what the woman was screaming. The C words and the MFers and all that.
The problem is they have to see him doing it. They have to see this happen. This guy that I saw just peeing on the middle of Industrial Way at 10:30 in the morning, right there on the side of the road. I mean, by the time they would have pulled around the corner, they would have got there. He would have been done. And what are you going to do?
But
and there's no $15,000 in it for a DUI or anything.
Yeah, it's not revenue. It's like, what are they going to do to that woman? When there's like, you can't be topless in a park, here's your ticket. Or you can't be screaming obscenities in a park, here's your ticket. Or you can't be threatening people in a park, here's your ticket. She looks at the ticket, she laughs, and she throws it away.
Thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. Hi, good morning. Thanks for hanging on. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm on my way to pick up my nieces, and I usually take them to a park every morning. And I haven't been to Mitchell Park yet because of the situation that you were kind of talking about.
Yeah, you kind of creep by, and you're like, nah, not today.
Yeah. I usually take my nieces over to Laguna, and that's a pretty safe place. And you were saying that the person who left the kids alone were 8 and 3.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, thanks for the call. They were 8 and 3, and you can't. You wouldn't want to leave an 8 and 3-year-old in Mitchell Park.
Hell no, I wouldn't leave my 30-year-old cousin in Mitchell Park. It's funny. Bill called in while we were playing Seeger. He had to go because he had to jump into work. But he said he has a friend that lives across the street from Mitchell Park. This is, as far as San Luis Obispo goes, this should be prime real estate, right? You think about a house that you own in downtown San Luis Obispo, that goes for a pretty penny right now in this market.
Right.
He wants to move because of what's going on in the park across the street. He wants to get out of the neighborhood. That's the only thing that the city will stand up and take note of, is when people that own property adjacent to the park, they start putting for sale signs in their front yard, and they're like, can't handle this neighborhood anymore. We got to get out of here. It's driving our property values down. And that's what you got to be saying by saying, I don't want to live across the street from this anymore. You got people yelling at each other in the park. You got people screaming obscenities. This woman can't take her niece to the park. The guy on the radio can't take his daughter to the park. I bought property next to a park thinking it was park-like setting. But park-like setting is not what it used to be, at least not in this city.
You got to take it to the city council.
It's a farce. It's a joke.
It's probably the best thing that you can do.
But
if you're not getting
but
anywhere with the
needs-
police department.
it needs to be the homeowners that take it to city
Gotta be
council.
the people that live
Because
around
that's when city council listens, is when the homeowners start to say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about getting the hell out of Dodge and taking my tax money with me, moving to Templeton because it's a hell of a lot safer because you're letting people do drugs in the park across the street and not patrolling it at all.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning. Listen online at kzoz.com.